I've had a little time to chew on this subject, and while we're waiting for our colleague in COM, I thought I would show you some of the things that I've found so far, which may lead to evidence of what our person from COM is just going to say anyway. But in a nutshell, I discovered that in the scholarly literature, if it's not like a little instruction book chapter, which I'll show you how to find, it seems to be a lot of case studies. So I went to Thailand and I spoke to this population of a specific age living in this specific part about donating blood. And so it talks a lot in those case studies, and instead of like overall overarching themes. So much like the scientific community, it's very narrow, and you can build the body of literature, and hopefully we can find something out of that. Having said that, there is a literature of practice out on the open web, and I found ways of discovering that as well, quite accidentally. Without further ado, I want to show you a map of what I did. And so I'll refer back to this, but these are the most successful things that I've found. And I'll move my head down so you can see this one. I feel like I'm underwater now. So when you're looking at the open web, let's go there first. I have something that I call a contextual search. Let me show you that first. I'm going to put my head back. I feel awkward. Da-da-da. Okay, if we go out to the open web, that's the Google. Google, in its brief history, has suffered from something of an overwhelming response. And so they've had to build and rebuild and modify their algorithm based on where you're at, or what your search history is, and cookies and all those sorts of things, because there's just billions of things out there. How do you do more advanced search is something that I learned a trick that I call a contextual search. I'm sure it's called something else. But when you put in something and then put a colon in between that and another keyword, essentially what you're doing is you're saying public health campaigns, this wants to be the only thing that I'm looking at. So this is my context. This is my bucket of things. I only want to look in things related to public health campaigns. It's loosey-goosey. This isn't like a database where it's very official, and it's still part of an algorithm. But whatever you put before the colon is the context. Whatever you put after is what it's searching for in that context, if that makes sense. And so one of the things that I discovered is that public health campaigns is pretty canon for reading levels, population marketing, all sorts of things like that. So I think we're safe with that keyword. And I tried a few things. I tried vocabulary, and here we have like the CDC published something, the World Health Organization, and there's even health promotion flashcards from a health psychology class. I didn't think of looking in psychology. I looked in education. I didn't find much there. So maybe that's a place to go. But I stumbled upon a great keyword. So here you can see reading level, literacy, but I stumbled across this keyword, glossary. And so I want to find examples. And I thought a glossary was something from like a middle school textbook where you look in the back and see, what did Paul Revere really mean when he said X? But this is the golden key. And here you can see some scholarly articles in there, public relations being another one of those canonical words. But we have the World Health Organization has like a controlled vocabulary. There's an academic group. A lot of these are already set up. So this is like state organizations. So there's Oregon and things like that. So these are established. And it's not the methodology, it's just kind of maybe lists, like your CDC one that said, don't talk about a virus, call it a germ. Which is, ironically, looking back 2 years ago, I remember hearing rhetoric of germs, and I was like, what is a germ? Is it bacteria? Is it a virus? What is a germ? And so luckily I have health professionals like yourself where I could say, what does this mean? So be that as it may, the glossary and the contextual search worked really good. Other contextual search are recipes, colon, whatever, soup, colon, whatever, restaurants, whatever. Um, so let's go into the library catalog and let me show you a more generic search in the scholarship. I don't know why I get to laughing. I think I'm punchy on a Friday. I may have been exposed to a germ. I use the library catalog because if I'm not sure what discipline this is showing up in, is it medicine, is it communication, is it psychology, is it education? This one has a smattering of each and every, and so I can gather evidence of like what discipline this is showing up in. But also, this is the book chapters one that I wanted to show you. So I'm going to grab my key terms. I put public health campaign in quotes because I want that to be all those key terms stuck together. Am I going to leave any field? I can't remember if I left it in any field or if I put it in subject or if I even did it in the title. I'm going to do subject. I don't want it to find anything or everything. And then here's my smattering of words. I don't know which one was the best. So I put an or statement in between, or an operator, I should say. And again on this one, we do in subject. And you could go by year, but I want to do the book chapters. I want to show you that. Let me move my head again. Library catalog, searching through some databases, some indexes, some library traditional stuff. And you can see no records found, so it looks like that was a dud doing subject. I've been doing a lot of searches with comm students today. There, it looks like that one had a lot more to chew on. Oh, 996. Perfect. Okay, so here you can see, it says focus groups, case studies, or like small population. This my favorite article, Governing Through Insecurity, a critical analysis of fear-based public health campaign. What's your management style? Oh, I prefer to use fear. But in this one, book chapters right here. This is cool because now that book chapters and table of contents are indexed, this is more accessible to search than it was even like 5 years ago. And if there's a special edited edition on public health campaigns or something like that, this is where we get our methodologies for building our own controlled vocabulary. And this is where my comm professor might have said, oh yeah, you're going to try this book, try this book. So here's one on developing your own rhetoric, 2018. Probably considering your message and your audience and things like that. Here's language of gender, healthcare policy, population-based. So campaign design. This is the critical ones where I think they're coming up with the words and the reading level. And I think these are the things, if you don't want just the lists, this is how you can create and curate your own list. Hopefully these are going to be the better ones to look at. But all those keywords that I stuck in or that I have listed right here, I would also encourage you to go to specific databases and give it a go. If you're coming out of health sciences, you probably have Scopus, Web of Science. I think those would be a good place to go to. Communication, there's a database called Communication Mass Media Complete. How do you find those? Let me show you the quick and dirty way of getting into disciplines you're not familiar with. And this will be the last thing I have to say. Just in case you're wondering, when does this video end? If you go to databases, oh, don't want the word databases, thank you. Thank you, Mac. If you don't know which one is the easiest to access for each discipline, if you go in by subject, our subject librarians, I work with comm, and we'll put our favorite, easiest to access, most comprehensive database at the top, highlighted in yellow. So if you want to go to comm, if you want to go to, so communication, education is a good one, medicine, public policy, business. I think a lot of those would be good to go to. But I probably like the Web of Science and Scopus and the library catalog seem to be the best way to go. Okay, so let me know how it goes. And we'll keep this conversation open and have a lovely weekend and a germ-free weekend.